Good morning, everyone. I'm going to be showing you today how to make this wonderful ancient bread. There's only three ingredients. There's water, salt, and flour. And so it's a long process. And this is the bread that people have been making for really since the beginning of time. And this is what the end product is going to look like. But I gotta tell you, it takes a long time. This is not something that you're going to just make in a day. Today is Saturday, and we're getting ready for the bread. But it will take until probably 4 o'clock tomorrow when we're all said and done. It's not all day long, but it is a process. And so what I love about this book, Chad Robertson is the author. What I loved about Chad Robertson is that he started baking in an outdoor oven. And so we've actually created an outdoor oven, and you can kind of see it out there. And that's where we're going to be baking tomorrow. But that's what I loved. I loved the simpleness of this bread. But I got to tell you, it's been over 3 years that we've had that oven, and over 3 years of creating this bread. And it's simple, but it is complex. I have made so many mistakes over the years, and with this video, I hope to show you some of the tricks, the do's, the don'ts, and I'll show you how to make this bread. Okay, so the very first step in this bread is, you heard me say there's only three ingredients: water, salt, and flour. And that's true. Nobody heard me say yeast. So what we do is we create our own yeast, which we call starter, and it's very, very simple. All you have to do is, in a bucket like this, I put half of this bucket is bread flour, and the other half would be whole wheat. And you just kind of shake it up, and then you have this is how you'll feed your starter. And I'll show you that after we begin making yeast. So you take, it doesn't have to be a third of a cup, it could be a quarter of a cup, it could be a whole cup. And what you do is you just put in whatever you do with your, whether it's a third cup, fourth cup, half cup, you do the same amount of water.
Então é uma medida de farinha e uma medida de água. E a farinha, ele faz meia medida de farinha integral e meia de farinha de pão.
Stop. Once you've mixed those two, you just stir, stir, stir. And believe it or not, this is going to become your yeast. After about 7 days, it will start bubbling. And what it is you're fermenting the water and the flour, and it will, the bacteria in the air, the microorganisms in the air, and it will start to create lactic and I believe acetic acid, I think are the two. And so you just leave that out.
Então esse é o fermento. Esse vai ficar 7 dias, essa farinha, essa água, até fermentar e virar fermento.
Okay, and the reason why we're doing it both in English and Portuguese is because my wife is from Brazil, and her cousins and my sister-in-laws wanted to see how we do this, the entire process. So that's the reason for this. And it really was my mother-in-law, Denir, who was the one that got me interested in making bread many, many years ago, 29 years ago. And she had an outdoor oven, and that was really my inspiration and the love for baking bread. She didn't make this type of a bread. She made kind of an enriched bread, but very, very delicious, huge loaves. So anyway, so that after 7 days, what you're going to get is this. Take a look inside there, And this is what we call a mature starter. It is,
Esse é o fermento depois de 7 dias.
this is very sweet. You saw all the bubbles on there.
As bolhas.
All the bubbles. And it is a very sweet smelling because every single day I refresh this.
Então, todos os dias ele adiciona farinha e água. Ele tira um pouco desse fermento e adiciona farinha e água.
So for many years, I would just throw half of this away. This is what we're going to do. In order to bake tomorrow, we're going to have a very fresh starter to make our leaven tonight. And we'll go over that tonight. But in order to refresh, what you do is we take out about 80% of this.
Então, para fazer o pão para amanhã, ele vai tirar 80% desse fermento e vai colocar farinha e água nova para refrescar esse fermento, para esse fermento não ficar tão azedo. E a gente jogava esse fermento fora. Em vez de jogar hoje, a gente vai fazer pão frito.
And so, if we could use this, but the bread would be very sour, and that's where this is a sourdough. But the French version is to take out 80%, and when you take out 80%, it is not that really strong. The French call American sourdough ruined bread. And by doing this, by removing the 80%, and then putting that equal amount of water and flour, that combination flour, every day you will train your yeast to rise and fall, and that's exactly what you need in order to make this type of bread. Very predictable.
Ele vai refrescar ou colocar farinha nova e tirar 80% desse fermento para esse fermento não ficar muito azedo. Pode usar esse fermento, mas o pão vai ficar muito azedo. Então, tirando 80% desse daí e deixando 20% e colocando mais farinha e mais água, fica um fermento bom, mas não fica tão forte.
So now, a little trick is to don't throw this away. If you heat a pan with some olive oil and a little bit of herbs de Provence, or any kind of herb, and a little bit of salt, you just kind of pour this in. That'll be enough.
Esse é o suficiente que ficou.
And then just a little sprinkle of salt and
Temperinho.
So while that is frying, we'll come over here with our dough, and again, just equal amounts of flour. This is the combination of bread flour and whole wheat. So we take one of those, dump it in there. 1 cup of water, equal whatever it is, 1 cup, 1/3, 1/2, whatever you used. And then you mix it up.
Colocou a medida de farinha, a medida de água e agora mexe com aquele pouquinho de fermento que ficou ali e vai deixar até hoje à noite.
And now you have refreshed your starter, and when you take a look in there, you should be able to see the bubbles. They're already starting. Okay, and so that we will put this here. You don't have to shove. Okay, so now we're gonna flip this. It's like a pancake. I did forget to put just a little bit of the herbs on that. Usually I put it on the bottom in the oil, and so it gets both sides, but that's okay. And so we'll let that cook up, but just so you see, we don't ever close that off. You can keep your starter in the fridge for a week. I've let it go up to 2 weeks, but it's best to try to train it every day so it rises and falls predictably. And but that's the most important ingredient in making this artisanal bread. So we'll show you what this looks like in just a few minutes. Okay, so now look at this. You've got this beautiful little pancake that I used to throw away, and now it's this delicious little flatbread with some nice little herbes de Provence on there. So I just put it on a little rack, and so tonight around 9 o'clock we'll come back and we'll start the leaven. Leaven in order to rise, and so it's a mixture of flour, water, and our starter. So we'll see you tonight. Good evening, everyone. It's 7:30 on Saturday night, and so now you could take a look and see how our yeast or our starter is doing. It's so bubbly and it smells so wonderful. This is ready to roll. So before we get to that, I wanted to show you the recipe. And this is this recipe, this is for white bread. So if you take a look, we've got water, and the 80 degrees Fahrenheit is very, very important. So we're going to do 700 grams of water. The plus 50 is actually once you've mixed your flour and everything together, right with when you do the salt. So, and then the leaven is 200 grams, and I'll explain that in a little bit. The total flour is going to be 100 or 1,000 grams, 1 kilo. So it's going to be 900 grams of white flour and 100 grams of whole wheat flour.
Essa é a receita para fazer o pão branco. Pão branco. Então, a temperatura da água aqui é 80 Fahrenheit, que tem que ver quanto que é em Celsius, eu não sei. E essa é para fazer o pão branco.
And then salt or sal, it needs to have 20 grams. And then I'm going to show you the one that I'm going to be making tomorrow is the whole wheat version.
Esse aqui é o pão integral. Esse é diferente que é o integral.
So we're going to do the 200 grams of the leaven. Water is going to be at 75 degrees, not at 80. And the whole wheat, we're going to use 700 grams of whole wheat flour, which we're going to go downstairs in just a moment, and we're going to grind our wheat berries to make our fresh flour. And then all-purpose flour, which I'm going to use bread flour. And then again, salt will be 20 grams. So it's very, very similar. It just is, you know, the percentages of either white or bread flour.
E então esse aqui é para fazer o pão integral. Então vai 700 gramas de farinha integral e 100 gramas de farinha branca. E a temperatura da água é importante. Esse aqui é 75 graus Fahrenheit e a outra era 80.
Yep. And so I would really recommend Chad's book, The Tartine Bread. It's fantastic. It has not only all types of breads, but once you know how to make this bread, you can make many different other breads from it, just different variations, either of flour. It's wonderful. So we'll go downstairs now and we will start milling some wheat berries. Okay, so we've got 3 different types of wheats. We've got the soft white, which would be like a pastry flour. We've got the hard red wheat. That's going to be like your traditional wheat bread that you think of. Really, it's a strong. And then we've got this hard white wheat, and this is a little bit softer, and it won't be as acidic as the hard red wheat. So basically what we have is this Wonder Mill. Got it on Amazon. It's really pretty neat. We turn it on and we pour the wheat berries, just so you can see These are the wheat berries. Looks like rice. And that's what's gonna go in here. And we will grind that up. And while that's grinding, we'll get, this recipe will be, we'll need 2,800 grams of the hard white wheat. And then we'll use just 1,200 grams of the bread flour. So while that's grinding, you'll see me grab the bread flour, and we'll put it all into this tub. Because with this, there's no kneading. What we do with this is we just fold. And every half hour, and you'll see this tomorrow morning, we just fold, and that's how it builds the air pockets in it, and where it gets this just big, billowy beautifulness.
Esse aqui então é o trigo, tem 3 tipos de trigo aqui que ele vai usar. Ele vai moer o trigo aqui nessa maquininha aqui e vai misturar daí esse trigo com a farinha de pão que ele tem no saco ali. Mas essa daqui é o trigo, então o que você está mostrando é o trigo. Ele tem trigo branco e tem um trigo que se chama vermelho, mas é um trigo de farinha integral.
Okay, here we go. So if you don't have one of these little scales, they're really nice, the digital scale, because what you do is when you put something on, then you can what we call tare it, and so that's right now 570 grams, but you tare it, and now it's zeroed out, and which is super, super important. So anyway, I'm gonna start this up. While that's going, we'll measure out 1,200 grams of the bread flour, and then we'll put that in there.
E a mesa de ping-pong serve para bastante coisa. Essa é a farinha de pão, que é uma farinha com alta proteína, geralmente proteína.
1192, 3, 6, 7. And close enough. And so we'll just dump that right in there. And you've got fresh, hot flour. And look at that. Just like that. Fresh, hot flour. So now we're gonna come over here. We're gonna need this recipe is went off. So we're gonna put that back up, and we're going to tare it again. We need 2,800 grams, so 2.8 kilos. So I'm gonna go about 1,400 just because it's easy to double. And let's see. Oop, a little bit much. Perfect, 1,400. And we've got a little bit extra in there, but that's okay. And then we'll put this back in there. One more. Okay, so we are now on to, we've got all of the flour milled, and now we're going to make the leaven. And so for your recipe for making the 2 loaves, it says to to make the leaven, we need 200 grams of leaven. Okay, that's a little deceiving. So what you need to do is, you're gonna have 200 grams of your mixture that we used this morning, the half whole wheat and half bread flour. That's our mixture there. So you're gonna get 200 grams of this and 200 grams of water, and then you're going to use just one tablespoon, it wouldn't hurt if you put two, in, and then you just mix, and then you will leave it out. With that water though, you do want it to be about 78 degrees Fahrenheit. Do you wanna?
Yeah, 200 gramas de farinha que ele misturou, né? Aquelas duas farinhas que ele misturou hoje de manhã. E com água, a água tem que ser água morna, na temperatura de 78 graus Fahrenheit.
But it has to be 200 grams of the water too.
E 200 gramas de água. E daí e pode ser até 2 colheres desse fermentinho aqui. Para fazer o leaven, que é o, não sei o que é em português.
Correct. Leaven is what makes it rise.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to show you mine now. Mine is I'm making 4 times the recipe.
Eu tava fazendo 4 vezes a receita, né?
So 4 times 2 is 800. So I have 800 grams of the flour. I have in here, trust me, it's 800 grams of 78 degree
E aqui está o
water.
termômetro para mostrar a temperatura da água.
And I just pour this in there. Now you're going to put you're only going to put 1, maybe 2 tablespoons.
1 ou 2 colheres, mas como ele está fazendo bastante, ele está fazendo para 10 pães.
The recipe says 1, but it's not going to hurt. So I'm going to put 4 or 5 in here, and so you can see how thick and beautiful that is. Oh, the smell is so sweet. And you can see it's kind of, it's
Sticky.
still sticky and bubbly. 2 more.
Ele tá com...
1, and so that's, I put 5 in.
Mas vai fazer 2 pães, vai 1 colher ou 2.
So I'm going to mix this up now. And I'm using this huge bowl because it will grow like crazy. And if I used a smaller bowl, it will rise up and it will hit the towel.
Tem que usar uma bacia grande porque cresce. Esse fermento aí vai crescer até amanhã cedo. E Deus não quer que derrame tudo.
Tomorrow morning, believe it or not, this paste is going to look just like that.
Amanhã de manhã aquilo que está na bacia vai ficar igual disso aqui.
It will be light, it will be bubbling like crazy, and we'll be ready to start the bread making process. So just a little bit more. And you can, if you look really close, you'll start to see some bubbles most likely starting. Yep, you see these little bubbles starting. Look, it's already starting to
ferment.
Well, starting to bubble. Look, you can see it almost looks like it's breathing there, which is so cool because it's alive. And that is the fun part of this. This is not this is not a fast, easy bread, but it is one of those breads that when you make this, it is just well worth it.
And the flavor.
And the flavor is incredible. So anyway, so now what we'll do, I will just put this over here and I'm going to get a cover
Vai cobrir
for it.
e deixar.
These are my garbage bags. They're clean. But I use these just to put over the top and seal it. Actually, you know what? I think I'm gonna go inside today. And then you put it over here next to the apple pie, and life is good. And so tomorrow morning, we will get up at 6, start the process at 6 a.m., and we will take a look at that. And again, you'll see it all bubbly and airy, and it will smell just like our starter. And then we put that into the flour, and we start the process. So it's really exciting, but this is what I'm talking about. It's an all day, it's a day and a half process. We started this morning by refreshing. We made the leaven tonight, and tomorrow we'll go from 6 until probably 3, and we'll bake at 3 out in the oven. So that's it. We'll see you in the morning. Good morning, everyone. So it is now Sunday morning. It's about 6:15, and we need to see how our leaven did last night. So remember, I'm multiplying it by 4, and look at that. It looks just like our starter. Look at those bubbles. You can actually just see them bubbling up. It looks beautiful, but we have to test it to see if it is ready. And so the test is just some water and a little teaspoon, and we'll just get it just a little bit. If it floats, it's ready. If it sinks, it's not. And it's floating. So it is ready. So you just put that back in, and then what we're going to do, go ahead.
Eu esqueci de falar. Você tira um pouquinho do fermento aqui e põe na água. Se ele subir e ficar flutuando, quer dizer que ele está pronto. Se ele descer no fundo do pote, quer dizer que ele precisa mais tempo ainda para fermentar.
Okay. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to wash my hands. We're going to put all of this leaven into there,
The flour.
and we're going to we'll then get the water ready. Now listen, remember, again, this is a super important point. I don't know if we talked about it enough last night, but one of the things, when your recipe will say 200 grams of leaven, you're going to want 200 grams of that flour mixture and 200 grams of water, and then 1 or maybe 2 tablespoons of your yeast. Okay, so now we've got our leaven is going to go into the flour. This bowl to get our water. One of the things that Chad will do in the recipe, and again, I would highly recommend you getting the book. One of the things that Chad would say is that get your 80-degree water in here, then add your leaven, then and disperse it, and then add your the flour to it. I don't do it that way, and the only reason why is that to try to find a storage container for all of this is just too much. It works just fine. I don't think that Chad would scold me if I did it this way. So I'm going to show you again. So for you guys, it's going to be 700 grams of water at 80 degrees. Mine, because I'm doing the whole wheat, my recipe will be 800 grams. It's going to be a wetter dough. and because the whole wheat will absorb much more water. So this one is going to be a very, very wet dough. Both recipes are wet, and you may not be used to using and working with a wet dough, but that is what's going to happen. So yours would be 700 grams of water, and make sure that you're using your scale. And I'll show you what that looks like. I'm not going to bore you with filling this thing up and getting the right temperature, but it is important to use some kind of a thermometer, excuse me, early in the morning. A thermometer that will show you in Fahrenheit what your actual water temperature
Termômetro
is.
para ver a água, porque a água agora ele vai adicionar a água com o fermento e a farinha, e a água tem que estar na temperatura de 75 Fahrenheit, que eu acho que é 26 graus, alguma coisa assim.
Yours is going to be though 80 degrees to
80.
make the white country loaf.
Okay?
Okay, so we're all set. We've got our 3,200 grams of water, or for me, that would be the 800 times 4. And it is at, should be 75 for me. 75 degrees. And so now all I have to do is just take this. Yours would be a lot less, okay? And just carefully.
Eu tô fazendo bastante, por isso que tem tanta água e tanta farinha assim. E a temperatura tem que trocar para Celsius.
And now starts the fun part. And so now it is just one, I always just use one hand to start. And
Agora
just start
mexer.
incorporating the leaven, the water, and the flour. And then we're going to, with this particular recipe, we're going to let it rest for between 40 minutes and 1 hour. I always use 1 hour. So that is what the French call autolyse, and it is when the glutens start to swell and trap gas, and that begins the structure of bread. So you just keep mixing this. It takes a good 5 minutes, and we'll, in about 30 seconds, we'll stop, and then we'll show you about a minute in, and then, okay, so you can see now, you just want to make sure, this is after about 5 minutes, you just want to make sure that there's no dough at the bottom.
No flour.
I'm sorry, yeah, no dough. You just want to make sure that there is no flour at the bottom of the tub. And you can still see there's a little bit of, see how there's some flour still in there? Right here, see that? And that's just, you just continuously kind of just fold it over on top of each other. But it is sticky. It's looking beautiful. Very, very thick. This is super heavy. Okay, so the dough is ready. It's very, very heavy, and what we're going to do is, I'm going to wash my hands, I'm going to put the cover on, and what we're going to do for an hour is let this rest, and we're going to put it in the oven, but on proof. If your oven doesn't have a proof, just make sure you warm it up to about between 78 and 82 degrees. That's the perfect environment for proofing bread. And and inside the oven for 1 hour, it'll really start to develop. So that's what we're going to do right now. Okay, so we're going to take this heavy monster and we're going to put it into the oven. And we're going to, here's the proof. No pun intended. Here's the proof. Proof and start. And so that will just, you just have to, I usually have a thermometer that I keep inside there. So what you'll do is just kind of watch that temperature so it doesn't go above 82. 78 to 82 is the perfect proofing temperature. Do you want to talk about that?
A temperatura agora para o pão crescer, para a massa crescer, tem que ter entre 75 e 80 graus Fahrenheit, para não subir acima de 82 graus Fahrenheit.
That's it. So we'll see you back here in an hour. Okay, we're back. The dough is ready, and it has been resting for an hour. And we're going to put the salt in, and I'm going to show you how to mix that. So for you guys, it's going to be 20 grams .
20 gramas de sal.
But in this case, for me, because I'm quadrupling it, it's going to be, it's 80 grams.
Para essa massa que é bastante.
So you just sprinkle it on. You can already see bubbles starting in here. And then the trick is you want to just kind of have some, let's wash our hands first. No. And then just leave a little bit of water running. Wasteful, I know. And then just get in there and just start mixing. Just so the water just prevents the dough from sticking. Just kind of turn it around. And again, with this dough, we will never knead it. It's all a series of folds every half hour for the next 3.5 hours.
Então essa massa não precisa sovar, só tem que ficar dobrando a massa cada meia hora por 3 horas e meia. Então agora só está misturando o sal.
Okay.
E a água para a massa não grudar na mão e para misturar.
And I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's beautiful. It's not sticking to your hands. And this is what the folds are going to look like. I'll do one just because I like to always start it off.
Assim que dobra a massa, cada meia hora.
And right now this is super heavy, but soon it will become very light and air will just be building up inside of this like crazy. I'm also doing another bread right now. This one is a, what's the name of it again?
Semolina.
Semolina. We'll show you that a little bit later. Okay, that's all we have right now. Okay, so that is all we're going to do now. We're going to let it rest for 30 minutes in the oven, proofing between 78 degrees and 82. And I'll see you back in 30 minutes. Okay, so this has been another half hour, and you can take a look at the dough. This is a different bread. This is semolina bread, and it has fennel seeds and sesame seeds toasted and ground up in there. But I use this one just so you can see what this process is going to look like, the folding process. So again, just wash my hands, trust me. And we're going to just grab the dough, lift it up, and fold it on top of each other, on top of itself. And again. And again. And then one last time. So 4 folds every half hour. And again, we started this at 7:30. So I would say until at least 11 or until 11 a.m. or until you start to see this almost double in size and really become very light and airy. You'll see bubbles all over this. Right now, not too many bubbles, but that's okay. That's what it's a series of 4 folds every half hour until about 11 a.m. or about 3 to 3.5 hours. Okay, so we're back after another half hour. Take a look at how this is the wheat bread. Look at these bubbles already starting. How big? Isn't that something? And you can see throughout the rest of the dough, there are pockets where you can see it's breathing over here, the holes there. So again, just wet your hands. And I just turned the other dough, so I did wash my hands. And you just kind of go down, and you can see how it's starting to come away from the sides. Whoop. And it's starting to get a little bit airier. It's darkening up outside. It's only about 40 degrees in mid-April in western New York. It's pretty sad. That is our dough. Look at this nice little hole, right, a bowl, bubble right there starting. It's beautiful. It's perfect. It's on course. So I am going to, I will see you back here around 11. I'm going to go for a quick bike ride in chilly western New York, and my producer, my beautiful wife, will continue the process. She's giving me a nasty look right now. Okay, it's about 10:30, so this is going to be the last fold, I think, depending on how this feels. It's super wet. This is the semolina, and this is an Italian pane, rimacinato. Rimacinato. It is very wet, but look at that structure in there. It is so airy. That's gonna be great. It has the crushed fennel seeds and sesame seeds in it, and it just smells, smells wonderful. And this is the wheat bread. Look at these bubbles, how beautiful. And it has definitely grown, I would say, almost in half. So we're gonna fold this. This one will be the last time before we start shaping the balls. Oh, it's so light. There's so much air in there. Look at that air bubble right on my thumb. Oh, it's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. So that what we're going to do right now is we're going to put that in for the last half hour. And I'm going to go start the oven outside. And yeah, there's the oven. And then we will start shaping the dough balls, putting them in baskets, and be ready to roll. Okay, the weather has turned much better. It's supposed to get some rain today. It's probably only about 50 degrees now, but we got the fire started, And we will keep pushing that further and further back, but we need to heat this up to about 1,000 in the dome, and then the deck temperature will be right around 600 when we start, and then probably drop to 5 to 450, somewhere in there. It all depends. This is the part of the game that it really is just, it's a game every single time. You never know. You can't perfect it because it depends on the temperature, how wet the stove is, the air temperature, the moisture in the air, but this is the part of the game that I love the most. It is just so beautiful to try to perfect this bread in this oven. So, thanks to Chad Robertson. Again, I will say 1,000 thanks to him because it has just been a lot of fun, this 3-year journey I've been on. Okay, so both of the breads are ready to roll. This is much wetter than this. And so what we're going to do is we're going to turn this out onto the table. We're going to lightly flour it, and then we'll start cutting it up into pretty much equal size dough balls. So let's take a look. And generally it will just kind of fall out on its own. Comes right off the plastic box, if you will. Not always. Look at that. That is beautiful. That's going to make roughly around 10 dough balls, depending on what size how many grams each. So we're going to put a little bit of flour top. And then using our bench knife, this is really important, especially when using wet dough. Try to just kind of rough out what 10 would look like. And we're going to do this twice. We're going to cut all of these up into the dough balls, and then we're going to shape them, and then we're going to let them rest for a half hour. Then we're going to reshape them again and put them in the Benetton baskets. Okay, so let's take a look here. And if anything, I would love Chad to be able to say, Phil, this is where you're going wrong. Because now what we want to do is we want to be able to fold and get all that air trapped in there. And when I watch him, man, he makes it look so much easier. But, so we're going to put some tension on these, and you can kind of see I'm rolling and putting the tension. But this may be one of the places that I'm just not there yet. But you can see I'm not trying to push it down, but I'm trying to add tension. And you can see how nice and tight that is. It's going to fall, but that's nice and tight. When you watch Chad do it, he makes it look really easy. So again, kind of a fold, and it's wet, and then another fold. Just try to put it in a nice little package so we keep all that air in there. You can see the little air bubbles, so beautiful. Get that tension. That one's obviously bigger. This guy is too big. So we'll and then I will finish up the rest, and then we'll get to the pane rimacinato and show you what that looks like. As soon as we're done with this guy, and kind of fold it over, and then you use your knife just to kind of skim underneath and kind of push back, just building a nice tight ball where you can just feel the air staying inside that dough ball. Yeah. Okay, we'll finish up. Okay, so we have shaped the dough balls now. They are going to rest for 30 minutes. I've sprinkled a little bit of flour on each because I'm going to put a piece of plastic. Oh, I know, isn't it beautiful? Look at that beautiful little bubble there. They are looking absolutely phenomenal. So, and then just like you would your children, you cover them up. Give them a nice little cover to keep them nice and warm. Oh, look at that. Put the babies to bed or nap just for 30 minutes. And then we'll be back. We'll reshape them again and then put them in the Benetton baskets. I know you don't know what that means right now, but you will soon see. So see you in 30. Okay, so these are the Benetton baskets. They're natural wood. And basically you flour them with, we use, is it cornmeal?
Cornmeal.
Cornmeal. And so then basically what you do is you just put a little bit in and you kind of just go around and get all parts of the basket just so it doesn't stick. And you can kind of see, kind of dump the rest in there and just kind of keep going around. And watch this, ready?
You can do it.
Nah, we want to get it all over the ground. No, we don't. Okay, and so we just kind of keep doing this. This will prepare the dough. And these are, you don't have to do it this way. Some people will choose to use the Benetton baskets this way, so that you get the shape of the wood. And others will just, if you don't have these, you don't need these, all you have to have is a basket and then a dish towel, and put the dish towel in and make sure you flour that up, and that will work just as well. And they have these little hoods on them, so you can put the hood on and then put the dough right inside there after you flour these up. So you can use them two ways, either with the fabric, the linen, or without. And we'll show you that process coming up next. Okay, we're about 1 hour in and the fire is looking grand. It's really coming along great. I pushed the logs back, and if you've ever heard of the term white hot, you will see right now in there it's all black. Once it hits 600 degrees, that dome and every part of the wall will turn white. And then you'll know it's ready to roll. And these two Easter egg looking things are spaghetti squash. So anytime we have a fire, we try to, after we're done baking, we will put all different kinds of things in: meat, chicken, vegetables, whatever we can use. So again, just lots of fun. Okay, we're on to our final shaping. And the dough is perfect. Literally. I love it. It is so airy. And again, try to build that tension into that dough. Nice and tight, and you can just kind of feel that ball tighten as you push forward. One more time, two more times. Yes. Okay, and then you go and you just put put it in there, and then we'll show you what that looks like in a moment. Oh, we'll do that in a moment. Here we're going to do one of this. This is going to be one of the rectangular baskets. Fold it up nice and tight. Get that all in there. Build that tension again. You can just feel it get tight. And then this guy's going to go in here. We'll do one more, and then we'll show you. So it's still very wet. You can see that. And fold it up and fold it like a little package. Little ball full of air. Okay, so now we're going to put a little of the cornmeal. Sometimes they use rice flour. A lot of people like the rice flour. I've done that before. So what we're going to do is we're going to put their little hats on. Because it's cold in western New York. No, not really. So again, you can use these one of two ways, like I'm doing it, or put the dough right on top of that if you've floured that up really well. And then what we're going to do is we're going to send all of these, or majority of these, into the oven, again, proof, okay, between that 78 and 82. And I just put them, I can get 3 on the bottom, I can get 3 here, and basically 10 loaves will go in there. And we'll show you what that looks like in a bit. So we have left the bread to proof in the oven, and we will do that for about 2 hours. And sometimes I would let it go to 3, but the weather is, it's supposed to start raining around 4, so I would like to be baking around 2:30 today. So that'll put it at about 2.5 hours, but I wanted to show you this white hot thing. Can you see where it turned white in there? Black on the side still, but white at the top. It's so cool. Okay. We are just about ready to start baking, so let me just show you what the oven looks like. And so I've spread the ashes all around on the deck to evenly heat it. You can see how everything is white, maybe a little bit of black on that side over there, but white hot for sure. It is easily over 1,000 degrees in that dome. And what we're going to do is we're going to take all of that material out, place it in this garbage can, wash the deck down, cool it down with that towel right there. Obviously I have to wet it. And then the bread will bake right on the hearth, right on the stone, right on the deck. So that's where we're heading right now. And I'm going to start taking all of that material out, and then we'll get the bread ready and start loading it in. Okay, so I've taken all the material out, and now I have to wash it down. All the material is in there. You can see by my handy dandy little, we're at 614 there, 640, 5, 6. Oops, there you go. Kind of move that around and get all different kinds of readings. And so we're definitely warm. And so now I'm going to use this wet cloth with my little broom here. Special broom. And we're going to clean it up. So we're ready. It's all cleaned out. And the temperature dropped from cleaning it, but still good. Still in the high 500s. And that's going to get a very nice pop, an oven spring. Professional ovens, though, are able to inject water into the bread for at least like the first 10-15 minutes. And that's what this little guy is going to do. So I'm going to inject water in there, shut the door, so it's moist and ready to go to receive the bread. And then once it's all loaded, I will add some more for about 10 to 15 minutes intermittently. Okay, so it's baking time. We've got a Dutch oven in the oven. It's warming up to 500 degrees. So I'm going to bring that out, and you've got to be very careful. You've got to have some kind of special mitts for this, because this is hot. And we're going to take the lid off. This is going to be just like a professional oven. The goal is, what we're going to do is we're going to place the dough on the parchment paper, put it inside there, cover it for 20 minutes, and then the last 15-20 minutes we take the lid off and just let it bake in there, and it will look just like Chad's. Mine, they won't look just like Chad's out there, but this will look much, much prettier. Just saying. Okay, let's give it a whirl. Okay, here goes the dough. Look at how pretty that shape is. We're going to score it with a lame. Nice and deep. Any design, it's really just to be able to open up that dough. And now, let's see, you think you can get it in there?
I don't know.
Give it a whirl. Wait, you know what? Hold on. Okay, this is the dangerous part. Gotta have your gloves on, and we're going to try as best as possible to get this guy in here. And now we're going to seal it back up. Get all that moisture in there, and we're going to put it back in. Okay, here we go. Putting the flour down, and now look at how beautiful that is. Putting it on the peel, making a nice deep cut. Yes, decorative cuts. Looks like a piece of wheat, and now we're going to load it into the oven. Okay, here we go. First one in. Okay, the last two, nice deep cuts. Okay, get in here. Okay, get in here. Okay, it's been 20 minutes, so now we're very, very carefully going to remove this lid, and it's not going to look pretty, but it will, because it's been with all of that beautiful, look at those nice cuts, with that beautiful steam. Now it's going to brown up like nobody's business. Okay, we're going to take a look and see. Look at, get in right in there and show everyone how beautiful. So we're going to just take a temperature check here. Oh, look gorgeous. Should be 212 and they're ready to roll. we're at 51, 68, 79, 87, 200, 200. Usually this is where I kind of pull them. I think it's ready. Look how beautiful that is. Not those, it doesn't look like my buddies,
Yes, it
Chad's,
does. Yes,
but
it does.
it is good. So here's this is our prep table for our pizza when we do pizza. Let's see. This guy looks good. Let's see here. 67, 81, 91, 98, 201, 204, 206. This guy's ready to roll. This is one of our seeded ones. Not ready yet. Yeah, this is going to be ready. 149, 71, 84, 93, 98, 202. Yeah, that baby is done. Listen to it. Oh, it's perfect. Okay. 200, 204, 205. Look at this beauty. Oh, does that smell good? This is the fennel seed and sesame seed.
Semolina.
Semolinas. There's that. Take a look at those. And then not centigrade. Yep. Okay, take a look. Now, it doesn't look a whole lot better. There's more of, you can see more of the cuts, where on mine outside, this is where I need Chad's help. I need others who know this. Are we not cutting deep enough? Is it not moist enough? I can certainly see the moisture issue outside because it's a different kind of chamber that I can't inject that steam. But, so, that's kind of all that we have. So remember, buy Chad Robertson's book. If somebody can get this to Chad Robertson and he could, again, Chad, I am willing to go for a week, work for free, fly there for free, and just learn from you. That's what I'm offering. I would love to, and I think maybe it could be maybe in the technique of the folding. I'm not sure. But I hope you've enjoyed this. I know it's long, this whole process. It is now 3:13 on Sunday afternoon. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to email me. We're going to put some more notes on at the bottom of the YouTube video, so that people can get the exact recipes and the percentages, and also in Portuguese. So that's all we have. I hope you've enjoyed it, and see you later.